the Rose Bowl was the real national championship game, the de facto national championship game in college football. And I'm aware that the real national championship game in college football will be played on Monday night, January the 20th. But let's be honest, everybody. The national title was won yesterday in Pasadena. Congratulations go out to Ryan Day, Will Howard, Chip Kelly, Jeremiah Smith, and the 2024-25 Ohio State Buckeyes, your national champions in college football. An absolute ass-whipping yesterday, Ohio State to Oregon. And everybody knows, I've been saying it for a long time here, that I liked Ohio State in the game against Oregon. I thought Ohio State was going to win. I thought Ohio State was going to cover. I thought Ohio State would go on to win the national championship. But I would be lying if I said that it was going to go down like that. I did not expect Ohio State to hand Oregon its lunch for over 3 hours yesterday in Pasadena. Absolute domination from start to finish, and frankly, it was stunning. Again, I bet Ohio State, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. And, Dan Lanning's going to take a ton of criticism. Is he kind of like small game Dan? Is this what happens with Dan Lanning? Like, does he just lose big games? Had a surrender punt in the game yesterday that was as pathetic as you could possibly imagine. So this was not like Dan Lanning's finest hour, but I don't think this game had much to do with Oregon. I don't know what college football, maybe LSU Joe Burrow. How many teams step on the field yesterday and don't get blitzkrieg, get destroyed by Ohio State? How do you even blame Dan Lanning? How do you blame Oregon for what happened? Ohio State is like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, and he's just realized he's Neo. How are you supposed to beat him? Ohio State is like this team that has just found sentience and understands now, wow, we are the best team. We're just going to start playing like the best team. The coaches are going to start coaching like we're the best team, and we're just going to annihilate absolutely everybody in our path. So, look, it's a bad day for Oregon. And everyone wants to bitch and moan about the college football playoff format and, should the byes and the seeding. Here's what I know. There has never been a number one seed in the history of anything in life that has gotten jobbed harder than the Oregon Ducks did, having to face Ohio State in the first round. Wow, yeah, number one team in the country, undefeated. What's your reward? Oh, you get to play the best team and be an underdog in the first game? I mean, absolutely, absolutely crazy. So honestly, for me, no shame in Oregon losing that game to Ohio State. That is way more about Ohio State being absolutely dominant. And you know how I feel. I think Ohio State's going to beat Texas in the Cotton Bowl. I think Ohio State will beat either Penn State, Notre Dame, and Georgia in the national championship game. Ohio State woke up the morning of the Tennessee game and thought, you know what? We're actually awesome. The Michigan game actually doesn't matter at all, and we're just going to wreck everybody. And that's what happened against Tennessee in the first round in Columbus, and it's what happened yesterday in the Rose Bowl at Pasadena. So, I brought up the social question, Ohio State or the field? You want to answer the field? You better have a pretty good goddamn reason why you like a team other than Ohio State. I don't know how you can at this point with what Ohio State has put on. These are not curtain jerking jabronis Ohio State has beaten. Penn State beat SMU and Boise State. Wow. Here's your double bye to the semifinal. Ohio State beat Tennessee and then took Oregon behind the woodshed. That is the best team in the country. Now, as for the team that Ohio State's going to play in the next round, the University of Texas. And let's start with the good for Texas. This is now back-to-back years for Texas in the semifinals of college football. They have made the Final Four now 2 consecutive years. So it does kind of feel fair to say that Texas is back. Like Sam Ehlinger said. To that win against Georgia however many years ago. Texas is back. Back-to-back semifinals. That's pretty good. I'm being serious. They deserve a lot of credit. But also, yesterday's double overtime win over Arizona State. Now, that was a 7-win Sark masterclass. Am I allowed to use that word? Look, great on Texas for winning the game. Seriously. It's good that they won. Also, it's frickin' Arizona State. And it took double overtime. They blew a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter and should have lost like a couple different times at the end of regulation and in overtime. I mean, that's pathetic from Steve Sarkisian, pathetic from the Texas defense, and pathetic from Quinn Ewers. And I love me some Kenny Dillingham. I love Cam Skattebo. Can't wait to watch Cam Skattebo in the NFL. I'd love to see my Giants draft him. He's tremendous. Like one of the great bowl games in the history of college football by a running back. Passing touchdown, receiving yards, rushing touchdowns. He was the best player on the field. He was great. But, if not for a 4th and 13, terrible defensive goal by Arizona State in the first overtime, if not for one of the worst missed targeting calls in the history of targeting calls at the end of regulation, Texas gets bounced. And Arizona State's getting annihilated by Ohio State in the semis. So, again, hearty congratulations to Texas. You have made the semis for the second consecutive year where you will get absolutely brutalized in the Cotton Bowl by Ohio State. I want everybody just to get used to it. Like, think about that happening now because that's what's going to happen when those two teams play next Friday night. Cotton Bowl, Ohio State currently, Femi, a 6.5-point favorite against Texas. Any desire to take the points with the Longhorns here? I'm guessing you think Ohio State's going to win, but maybe not.
Yeah, I do think Ohio State's going to win. I mean, I think anybody who watches the playoff and has been watching the last couple of weeks would tell you that Ohio State's going to win this game. 6, like, I know people are going to make the argument that maybe it's a little bit much. I don't know, man. Like, if you told me you have to bet the side, I would actually lay the 6 before I took the 6. Like that's what I think Ohio State, we've always talked about how this team has an insane level in terms of their peak, and we're seeing it now. And that doesn't mean it can't change and that maybe they go back down to like the median or whatever. But I do think that Ohio State just has something cooking. This team has a lot of momentum. I would lay the 6. I didn't bet it. The way I bet this game, are we giving out bets now? Do you want me to give out what I did bet or do we want to save that for later on? I bet the under.
Everyone's watching Notre Dame, Georgia. It's okay. Go ahead. What do you like?
Don't tell them, but I bet the under. I bet under 54.5. I think 54 was probably the cutoff because like that's a key-ish number in terms of totals. It's 53.5 right now. Like small lean to the under. I just see both of these defenses being really good. Like Texas's defense, offensively they're not good, but defensively that front seven is strong, and I do think that they could dominate Ohio State's offensive line. But then on the other side, Ohio State's defense, front seven, back end, the secondary, it's all good. Ohio State has found it on defense. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than people think, and I think Ohio State's going to win it. It wouldn't shock me if Ohio State won like 27-17 or 27-20 or something like that, but the under was my favorite look when these markets first came out last night. I was the first thing I went to. I was like, I think that's just a couple too many points there, so I'm going to go ahead and bet the under, and that's what I did, and looks like the market, at least early on, somewhat agreed.
Yeah, how does Ohio State not score like 30 in this game? Which doesn't mean like your bet, like the bet can't still win.
Texas's defense is good. I think it's a better defense than Oregon's defense.
How many NFL receivers does Ohio State have?
19.
I mean,
it's a lot, man.
It's like if Jeremiah Smith were in this year's NFL draft, like where would he be the number 1 pick?
I think he'd definitely be in the conversation.
Dude, I don't know that I've seen like a freshman wide receiver as good as he is. How is he not just slamming everyone the rest of the way? And I meant what I said in the opening segment. It's like Ohio State. Like, it's a cheesy analogy, but I like the movie. It's for people that have seen The Matrix. It's like at the end of the movie, the first Matrix, when Keanu Reeves like realizes like, hey, I'm Neo, and just destroys everybody. Like, that's kind of what this feels like to me. Like they know that they're Neo, like they're the one, and they're just gonna slam everybody now. Like, I don't know who's standing in their way. I don't like Ohio State, but I mean, I like money, so I'm on the Buckeyes. I think I'm gonna win.
Do you have any?
It's gonna be awesome.
Do you have any of them to win the title? You bet any future on Ohio State?
Oh yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I just have Georgia, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to get a good number to hedge, honestly, if they do meet them. Because Ohio State, if they get to the title game, they're probably at least, 3.5 at the least, at the smallest in terms of the favorite status.